what you probably find is that most people don't know why they invent. They see a problem. They see something in the world that's not the way they want it to be, and they feel empowered to make that change. I know when I came to CA, for instance, I go back to the early 1980s, and I had done a startup around security. And it wasn't that I really set out to do something with security. What I set out to do was solve a problem that I had some personal experience with. And one thing led to another. I became almost a reluctant software developer. Had to know enough of the technology to implement my vision. And there's the invention. Same thing really all the years since. It's always been that case of, there's a really cool problem out there that's just waiting for somebody to come along and solve it. And if you can have some commercial success in that, so much the better. I think the people I know who are amazing inventors, it's like they thrive on that, that market just reaching back to them and validating what they've done. Yes, this is a great idea because, we got some value out of that. There's nothing in the world more gratifying to me than to go visit one of our customers and see a group of people who maybe earn their living or, somehow their lives are made better by the inventions that we create. It's an amazing experience. I think it's really that sense of, let me be blunt about it. I think it's ego. I think it's, you look at the world around you and you see things that could be done a different way or a better way or whatever it is, and it kind of becomes you against nature or you against the world, whatever it is, and I think that in solving those kind of problems. It's just such an amazing rush of gratification for the solution that you can come up with, and I think all inventors have some of that. It's great that we might in different spaces be looking to cure cancer or help people, and absolutely. But I think if people are being honest at the real core, it's makes me feel good. It boosts my ego to go solve a problem and then get that validation by the market that I had a good idea. I have one of the best jobs at CA. I get to innovate on a day-to-day professional basis, if you will. And, so a lot of what we do is we invite customers in. And, what I find is that a lot of people, they know what the problem is. They may even know elements of the solution. They just don't have either, a broad enough picture of it or the resources or skills to actually implement what kinds of solutions they see. So I get to do that for a lot of these customers. And I think this is kind of another hallmark of successful inventors. And it kind of comes down to, you can't take yourself too seriously. If you become the engineering talent that's got all the answers to all the problems, well, it seems like the world has a way of kind of stepping up and slapping you down somehow. You have to be humble about it. You have to be, open to the idea that, some customer, someone in that audience you're trying to serve probably knows exactly and probably knows much better than you do what the right solutions are. So, as a successful inventor, you want to be able to tap into that and, avoid that tendency to just kind of go off on your own and try and figure everything out for yourself. Sometimes it happens, but a lot of times you need that engagement. You need, that whole, ecosystem to kind of point you in the right direction sometimes. And, I think being open to that is an important part of the process. And if you're lucky like me and you have a job that lets you do that on a daily basis, you get better and better at it over time. And you start to convince yourself that people can come in with a problem, you can analyze it, you can understand it, you can draw on all of your past experience, and you can solve it. One of our founders talking about, look, our company is really simple. It's about Customers have particular problems, we solve them, and it creates commercial success for both of us. And living in a company where that's very visible and very true is a wonderful thing. It creates a sense of a meritocracy where your rewards and your place in the company and all of that really kind of come down to how well you satisfy some of those equations. And I think CA, especially compared to some of our bigger competitors, is historically just been much more nimble about that, much more able to take some chances where it looks like it makes sense, and to reward the people who succeed at it. I mean, certainly I've done both. A lot of the best inventors that I've worked with, though, are very much solitary folks. Especially at that kind of core, incubating that initial idea into something. That seems to be a very personal experience for a lot of folks. I know in my case, one of the things I like to do is sit in my office with the door closed, a little bit of music on, and draw pictures on the whiteboard. And my pictures wouldn't mean anything to anyone other than me. And somehow I'll get to look at something in a different way that I ever have before, and there's the kind of nugget of the invention. I think once you get past that point, though, you need kind of the group effort. One of the things I've learned as I've aged, I guess more than anything, is sometimes the little group comes up with a better idea than any one individually could. And I think at least what I've done in my career is I've built a little network of people that I really, really trust, and we're able to bounce ideas off of each other. And it's not always people with engineering skills. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's customers. Sometimes even folks who have nothing to do with our industry. One of my best resources is a fellow who happens to be a venture capitalist and a financial wizard. And and I feel like if I can explain it to him, make it make sense to him, and it kind of passes his test, it's probably not a bad idea. So we have that very personal kind of dialogue, and there's probably 4 or 5 people like that I engage with, and I think the output of that just feels much better than anything I would do totally on my own, or any of us would do totally on our own. Over the years, I've gone back and forth, being in my office with the whiteboard and the music going, and and that's maybe it's almost like a cue of some sort. You go into that state, and it kind of forces you to think a certain way. But I think other times in my career, I've had lots of inspirational moments being more around. Just being in random places, just being away from that, almost the opposite of that. Almost, I'm in, some city traveling and wandering around. I remember one idea that I had wandering the streets of Prague, and it was not because of the environment. Probably it was probably just because of the change and the different scenery being helpful for that. Early in my career, one of the folks that I worked with was a big sailor, and he had a reasonably good-sized sailboat. And we used to take off out of the office a little bit early on Friday afternoons and have R&D discussions on his boat. And an amazing number of our best product ideas came from just this exchange that we would have sitting out on the water, a little bit of Mozart playing, a little bit of white wine, and next thing I know, we've got the notebooks out, and everybody's kind of jotting down, well, we should try this, and some of our best ideas happen that way. I spent a lot of my career working with the folks at IBM, and both competing with them and cooperating with them. And one of the folks at IBM I have a tremendous amount of respect for. I remember visiting with them up in their Poughkeepsie site, and he was all excited because he came up with some algorithm for something or other, and IBM went out and got it patented for him. And he was so proud of this, and and I remember thinking at the time, this is probably 1992 or so, and I remember thinking, wow, that's the coolest thing, yeah, and I wish CA did that. Well, we do that now, and I think it did feel like that. It was like, well, no, it's not just me thinking I know how to do stuff. The world has kind of recognized that, and it felt really good. Unfortunately, I can never remember the patent numbers, but I've seen other of our inventors that walk around and they can rattle them off the top of their head. I am number 117666324, at first I thought it was inmates, but no, I think it is. It is kind of a definite thing that you carry with you the rest of your life that way. It's going to be there. I mean, sometimes I go to the U.S. Patent Office website, and you can search for inventions going back to the 1700s, and you read the patents, and you think about the inventors and all the things that may have come from that, and and that there's this history that goes hundreds of years, and then you kind of realize, wow, you're part of that too, and that's a cool thing. Yeah. First of all, I'm not so sure that people who set out to be inventors are successful at it. I think you just have to follow your instincts. You have to kind of have that naive, inquisitive view of the world, and you have to just be so tenacious about, well, there's something I can do. There's a problem I can solve, a new product I can bring to market. And if you do that, the rest follows. The patents, the recognition, the financial success, whether it's for you individually or for CA, it all comes in line. It comes down to just being very focused on solving problems or creating new things there. Well, what would the alternatives be? Right, and I suppose if I found myself in a position where I were surrounded by a world of things that I had no control over their creation or any of that kind of stuff, then it would feel pretty limiting to me. I'd feel constrained somehow. So that's probably a central thing to me, is I just like that idea that, to a good degree, your destiny can be in your own hands, and that if there's something out there and either you don't like it or you see a new opportunity, you can go make it happen. You don't have to, be dependent on the rest of the world to do that for you. I don't necessarily like to look in the rearview mirror. I want to look out the windshield. I don't want to be evaluated by that. I want to be evaluated by what I do next. And so, I have those kind of mixed feelings. It's like, okay, it's great, but there's always this danger, and I think we've all seen this, that you get the guy who invented anti-gravity 20 years ago, and he's just kind of resting on those laurels. And, I don't want to be that. I want to be, that's just the beginning. You ain't seen nothing yet. There's 10 more in me in the next year, or whatever it is.